Welcome to your Conscious Choices for Wellness podcast, hosted by B. Crutelli. This is a space for everyone to learn anything and everything related to healthy healing, including naturopathic medicine, music, dance, yoga, meditation, eco-fashion, mothering, and organic lifestyle choices. Topics for expanding universal consciousness. Come join me weekly as we delve in and begin this journey, sharing valuable content gathered over the past 3 decades, helping to support a healthier and more sustainable future for all. Hello, welcome to the Conscious Choices for Wellness podcast. Thank you for being here today. I am joining you from my little home studio here in my temporary home. I'm hoping to get my next place that I will be in for longer, finding out this week. So I'm pretty excited about that, hoping that that is happening, as I have been in the in-between or the liminal space, as we all will experience at some point in our lives, maybe, many times. I think we're all on different paths. I am speaking about that today, and I titled the podcast and the blog Liminal Living, the space in between your next chapter. So I heard this mentioned, just the term liminal space, on another podcast a few weeks back. And I took note of it because I was like, oh, well, I'm actually in this still right now, and I've been living it. So it was someone speaking about how she was in this liminal space, like she'd never known it before, being displaced from the fires about a year ago, from the LA fires last January, and how just, many people, I'm sure, that were in that. Anytime you're in a devastating catastrophe and your whole life just, blows up like suddenly, you definitely are going to find yourself in liminal space living, and like, what the fuck? So, living in the in between, the unknown of what's one step ahead, or even the confusion of what just happened, leading you to where you have landed. Seemingly so sudden, but was it? May be in what we perceive as time. So, yes, suddenly, like, we don't have, choices on if there's a catastrophe like an earthquake or a fire, or even a flood. Sometimes, like, it can just happen so quickly that it will, shake our whole life up. And hurricanes, like, I mean, your whole living situation and your home, and all of that. Okay, let's just speak in, where we are living in our home and feeling settled, so then that the rest of our life can happen, right? That's kind of like the first basic need, is to have a roof over our head, to have a home that we feel safe in. And if all of that goes away, then everything else that we're dealing with in our life, our relationships, our career, yeah, just everything else will have to be put aside too. And that will also change, because we first need to have that basic need of having a home. Time traveled until wherever we currently stand. We are in this, perception of a time of where we currently are. Some of us are watching the clock constantly. I am not a time watcher. I say that to people when I'm hanging out with them sometimes. I'm like, I'm not a time watcher. If we need to be somewhere, just kind of letting you know, maybe you should check the time, because I really only check the time if I do have an appointment, obviously, or if I have to be, to a job, working for someone else. Even if you're working for yourself and you have an appointment and you have to be there to help someone else at a certain time, then yes, of course, I need to watch the time because that's just the world we live in. But sometimes we end up feeling like, what the fuck? Like life is a long, strange trip, though ending up being too short in the midst of all that we could possibly accomplish while we're here. I think it gets to a point in time where we realize, okay, I may only have X amount of years left. Like, you really don't know ever how many days you have left here. But when you get to be my age and you know you've lived over half your life, maybe you only have another 20, 30 years, you're like, okay, what do I really want to accomplish? I don't want to call it the bucket list, just, things that you wanted to do and you only have so much more time to do. And it's just a time in space when we're here on the planet that many of us will come to face and then have to figure out, okay, like what's really important? What, am I doing? Am I in a job that I don't want to be in? Am I in a relationship I don't want to be in? And having to let go and make those changes, it's difficult. And I have much experience on this. I have had many transitions, twists and turns in my life. Right now, I'm in a liminal space like I've never been in before. It's very, very different. So, when we're feeling like our flow that we had been living in suddenly comes to a halt, landing in the middle of nowhere to begin again. This is me, by the way, right now, like I said, and I have been here before, but only differently, even more of a wounded child back then. I have grown. I can tell that I am a different woman. Um, I yeah, I'm really trying to do things differently than I've ever done before. So maybe I don't make the same mistakes. Maybe I, make more intelligent, conscious choices this time. It's really what I'm trying to honor myself in doing and taking things slower, my decision making, being closer to source, and yeah, really tapping into my intuition. So the constant growth and growing up is the game of life. I really feel like we are in a game, like a matrix of constant choices and moves that will create different outcomes. It is a game that we are living in. I heard another podcast last week on Know Thyself. I can't remember who he was speaking with. He was actually a comedian. I'd actually like to watch some of his stand up. Pretty sure he was a stand up comedian. And he's just, really into taking mind altering substances to dive deep into transforming his life and his way of thinking and his way of being and his choices in this game of life that he calls it. It was a pretty interesting conversation, but I bet we're going to hear more and more people calling this life a game. I've been saying that this past year. That's just how I feel. So, learning all the ways to get through all the twists and turns is a challenge for sure. Where is the opening to my next chapter? How should we choose to follow the opened paths? Falling deep in the abyss, aka rock bottomness, can go many avenues depending on who we are in that very moment, in that place and time. Yeah, it's interesting. It's fucking interesting out there. I would say there's never a dull moment. It's important to have the right perspective or to shift your perspective at any moment so that you can see things differently to maybe make you stronger or give you the light that you need to keep going. As a mother becoming free again, giving birth again to my own self recently to be, I have so much to look back on. only to learn from these reflections, right? When we look back, they're reflections of our past, and we can look at them as reflections. We see who we are, who we've transformed to be, who we don't want to be, the lessons that we can take from our past to grow, but not to dwell, not to like go back and try to relive the past, right? When we're like thinking about the past constantly and dwelling in it, then we're bringing stress to our bodies. We are, really doing no good to ourselves or to anyone else around us because we can't change the past. We really can't. We can accept it. We can learn from it. We can embrace it and move on. The only knowing really is to move forward as a new, brighter woman who has landed somewhere else on the game board, or shall I say, the playing path. Let's pause here and take an inhale. Notice your breath. As I inhale, I keep an open heart once more, knowing one thing for sure. This is all about perspective shifting. Like I mentioned, it is. It can be perspective shifting on a daily, depending on who you are and where you are and all of that. So, as hard and easy as that is, or that may sound, there are really so many roads or ways to be or not to be. One of my toughest feats is always trusting in the process. You can't see what's ahead, but you have to just trust. Literally every day, as facing the unknown when you are deep in the forest alone can be frightening as fuck. I know. Believe me, I know. And letting go of wherever you were before, for me, is the lesson of greatest growth. Okay, let me say that again. Letting go of wherever you were before, we're talking about our past, can be the greatest growth experience. Learning how to let go, feeling the feelings that are coming up around your past, around what happened. It can be a lot. And if we really go into those feelings, we feel them, we notice them, we get to, experience them in a way of knowing yourself more, where those feelings are coming from, where they're stemming from, what parts of your body, loving yourself during this process. This will make us feel less pain in the future if we don't do that and we don't really experience the pain and the feelings that are coming up. They will stay in our bodies, locked into certain places, causing pain and inflammation. And eventually, they're going to just keep coming back. Now, not to say that those wounds just vanish. I believe they come a part of us as we have evolved here, right? From the time we were born into who we are now, we all have different experiences and different pains that had, I want to say, kind of stuck or adhered to our bodies. And depending on how we dealt with them and how we moved forward, is kind of where who we are and where they may or may not be in our bodies still. So a lot of these parts of us that we really need to embrace and love and like a mother and care for will always be part of us because it's who we are. It's who we have, been our entire life, and the experiences and the traumas that we have experienced and been, had gone through are a part of us. So the more we can like accept, embrace, nurture, care for who we are and what we carry, the less pain we will feel if we're not really going into the pain and feeling it and embracing it and letting go of holding on to it so much and not feeling it like we should, then the more it's going to damage our cells and our entire being over time. So it's very important that we do the work. This is the work I'm talking about. I'm trying to do more of the work this time. Of course, I still have my own wounds, trying to do things differently than I've done in the past. And I know that I am letting go of wherever you were before, for me, is the lesson of greatest growth. Okay, so as we learn, we are evolving, we are growing, we are maturing. This is the core essence of self love. And I believe why we are essentially here. When you think about the bigger picture, it's like, okay, I think that's why we might all just be here. It's like this game to learn the core essence of who we are and to love ourselves so we can love everything else around us. And I believe many of you listening, and most of us that are good beings of the planet, know that love is the essence of everything. It's the essence of all. So when we are holding on to something that is holding us back or maybe unfulfilling to your true spirit, then we are not in alignment to our true self and who we are here to be. And when the essence of unconditional love is gone, we must move on to where it is because it is right around the corner. Love is always waiting for you. Real love is finding you when you let go of the old misalignments in life. And sometimes we just get jolted. We get so misaligned, we don't even see it, that we get jolted into more of a misalignment that we have no choice. But this is like what I'm talking about, going into like a rock bottom, falling into the abyss of the forest. We are like, oh my God, okay, here I am. I really have no fucking choice but to try to dig my way out of this now. And that's the liminal space in between. It's like, okay, here I am. What am I going to do? How do I now get back to where I thought I was going or where I wanted to be? I was obviously in misalignment with my life in too many ways, or I would not have fallen where I have landed. So we are all here to love. Capital LOVE, vitamin love. Vitamin L, that is vitamin L. It is essential. Learning to let go more and letting the universal love guide me has been my greatest accomplishment. Many of us with unmet childhood wounds feel the pain deeply when we are finding our way through the darkness. Being alone is good at times, but being together is the way we are meant to be. So sometimes we find ourselves, when we're at a rock bottom, we're in the abyss, we end up being alone, right? We fall out of relationship, we fall out of love all of a sudden, or maybe not. Maybe we're still in love, but we can't have that love that we thought that we wanted. And we have to find a way to love ourselves. So we're forced to be by ourselves because we have fallen out of love with ourselves and out of touch with who we are. So while I've been journeying through this stage in my menopausal years now, letting go of loved ones that are now in my past, I have many wiser choices that can be now seen clearly while remaining calmer. Meditation diversity is a tool, and O may be a new terminology. I actually looked it up and I didn't find an exact terminology of meditation diversity, but that was a term that came to me and I like it, that I'm currently going to play with. So this just came to me yesterday, and it's actually, to me, this is a way to play with or experience different avenues of connection with goddessness or with God, source, creator, nature. And there's different ways that you can find this connection. And it's all just really a meditation, I believe, because meditation is getting out of your mind, right? It's connecting you with spirit. So, just in that, how we connect with spirit and quiet our mind, there are different avenues of doing that. Yes, breath work, sitting, on your yoga mat, sitting in nature, finding a comfortable resting position, breathing, and quieting all the thoughts. That is how many of us think of meditation. Well, not just being in nature and breath work, but listening within, finding your intuition, your gut health is important to this. You can go back to my gut health podcast, talking about your intuition and connection to source, plant alchemy. These are mostly free ways to walk the path into the light more. So plants connect us with source because source gave us plants as medicine for that connection. And so it only makes sense that when we eat plants, especially spirit plants that really connect you with spirit, that is an avenue to get out of your mind, get into your heart, and connect your intuition more. Time and space and how it's perceived is very valuable. Patience creates a fine perspective into divine timing. The realization of this makes perfect sense, especially when everything else being pushed out is not working out, right? Knowing you are loved and are here to dance and not fall, unless maybe a wrong turn was followed for too long. Trusting in the crazy process of life, living light-hearted more and more can only create more and more frill. That word just kind of came to me when I was writing. Just means like, kind of heartedness, carefree, lightness of being, not, holding on to things like so hard and like grasping and, just kind of like letting go and trusting in the process. Ever heard to not take it all so seriously? Why should we be? Finding ease and flow is key, and it's a practice. We are here to love. We are here to shine. We are here to smile. We are here to dance together. Feeling the pain is inevitable, though. It just is. Guess that's part of the game, too. The yin and yang of it all, the balancing effect of the universal law. I heard about a researched happiness study also in the last few weeks that shared that the happiest humans are doing what lights them up a minimum of 2.5 hours a day. Okay, so that's 10% of our life. If we are not doing what we love and what lights us up 10% of the time, okay, and I'm not talking about sleeping because many of us really love sleeping, and that's probably more than 10%, right? But waking hours, okay, so maybe I have my calculations wrong on the 10% now that I'm thinking about it, but 2.5 hours of when you're awake, when you're alert, when you're, doing the day to day things, okay, besides resting, we should be doing what we love, finding our passions, things that are making us feel good, right? And that's going to make us happy. If we like barely, I mean, some of us I know are like barely even doing that every day at all. And so no wonder you get sick. We must be able to do this. And if not, then we are so far out of whack that sooner or later our disassociated struggle will get the best of us completely, and a shift will happen whether we are ready for it or not. Gratitude, having gratitude, gratefulness, being thankful for whatever you can find to be thankful for, no matter what. There's always something every day. Time is going by quickly, y'all, and every day is a new day, and there are always things that we can find, whether it's the blue sky one day, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, maybe it's a certain piece of clothing that you love, or the food that you're eating, or the company that you're around. There is always something. Music, oh my God. Music is, I am so grateful for music. There is just so much music to enjoy and to uplift your soul and your spirit. So, yes, finding the free things around you every day to be in gratitude for first, like this gorgeous wild carrot flower that I had a photo of that I put in the blog here. Or actually, I found a photo of this one, but I've taken photos of these. This one was not my photo. But the wild carrot flower is beautiful, and it has all these little tiny white flowers that all turn into seeds. And the seeds are actually kind of toxic, but also used as medicine. I just love the flowers, they are beautiful. And all those little seeds is a fine reminder of the beauty that surrounds us, as well as the many seeds that can be planted throughout our lives. I really love and appreciate any of you that stayed this long. I had no idea this was going to be the length that it was. Of course, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do like 10, 15 minute, I think this is a 5 minute read or so on my blog, but I love to, really expand on what I'm um, talking about. What I write about always gets blown up more on the podcasts. So if you enjoyed this in any way, if it was helpful in any way to you, please do share it with whoever you think might also want to listen. I really want to encourage more sharing of this podcast so that it can expand to a broader audience. I would be so, so grateful for that. Have a beautiful day, y'all, a beautiful week. I am doing this bi weekly right now. Thank you. Namaste. Love y'all. Bye.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, land of truth and land of lies, high up where the eagle flies. I'll be there before I die. I will climb the mountain. There will be those who stand in my way. I will swim the oceans. I will face many storms, many waves. I will reach so high. Climb over obstacles I must face. But I will survive with dignity.
Thank you all so very much for listening today. I genuinely hope that you learned something, and I invite you to join me each week so you never miss a conscious wellness beat. This podcast holds a special place in my heart dedicated to my evolution here, my passionate mission to spread more consciousness for the much needed wellness on Earth. Come join me as a guest as well. Let's collaborate, making change for future generations.